So I'm coming in from the other end of Regency Oaks here. They always have the entry very beautiful. Security cameras there and security guardhouse. That was just part of the style. There's cameras all around here, over 20 plus cameras, plenty of security. I'll talk more about that later. We do have the clubhouse here in front of us and the amenities. We'll get into that, but I'm going to start off by going right because that really shows you something that's unique about this neighborhood. So this home, the first home on the right and the home right next to it are obviously very different. The home on the right was built by Crown, aka D.R. Horton, and the home right there and further down here were built by John Wieland. A little bit of history is, of course, there was a market crash and all that kind of good stuff, but John Wieland all across the South was known as one of the premier luxury and higher end builders, most definitely known for quality construction, quality products, and the things that he would put into his neighborhood that were beyond the bare minimum that a lot of people were doing. And what ended up happening is he built the vast majority of this neighborhood. But when that market crash happened in 2007, 2008, he wasn't able to finish the subdivision. So the first part, the first half, we're going to take a look at mainly John Wieland built homes. This first section is it dead ends with double cul-de-sacs here. There's some homes on a basement. We passed a ranch home back there. Back over there's, golf course, and there's a really nice nursery over there as well. There were a couple of homes that traded last year on this section. And it's interesting. Some would think, and in some instances, in certain details, it's true. The quality and details in the John Wieland homes are different, and some people have the opinion maybe even better. But the D.R. Horton properties have sold for higher historically than the John Wieland homes. So you've got these probably in the low fours if you're not on a ranch and not on a basement, and you don't have a lot of square footage. But then you also get into the fives when you've got something that has a basement, is updated or well cared for. It's a variety of what you actually see in this neighborhood. We might even take a break and show you a couple of the comps. Or of course you can see some information below about how to get the actual black and white numbers for certain sales. And obviously this video is going to be out here for a while, so things change. So feel free to reach out. This is something Shirley in our office had listed at one point. I hosted an open house there. But this little section starting off is, nice, quiet, private, beautiful homes, well-maintained yards. Some of them even have, as you can tell, side entry garages, which technically have more value and which technically, are sometimes preferred when you don't have that garage on the front. So those side entry garages are nice. And also, to get that side entry garage, you would need a wider lot. When the lot's a little bit more narrow, like that one, which D.R. Horton built. When I say D.R. Horton, aka Crown Communities, we'll come back to the clubhouse there. It was the marketing at the time when I sold one new construction, it was Crown, but I believe Crown was bought out by D.R. Horton and or it was a branding thing because Crown built homes were a higher quality than, supposedly nicer and higher quality at that time than D.R. Horton brand. So they've done that before. They've messed with some like Express Homes, different brands, all that kind of good stuff. Even if you're not interested in doing something right now, you can still see the information below about how to sign up for automatic alerts about the market in this area, maybe even specifically this subdivision, so that you can kind of see what's happening with prices and sales and be the first to know about new opportunities. See below. It's bright out here today. So this is kind of another dead end section. And it's a good time to talk about a security feature that is a little bit unique about this neighborhood. Of course, there's tons of security measures. This is a property an old coworker has listed. It needed a lot of work, a lot of work. I think it was an estate sale. But in any event, when you're building a new subdivision now, and if you have over, I think the number is 20 houses, I could be wrong on that, but if you have over a certain number of houses, the county is going to require that you have 2 entry points. So, for example, if something major happens and one entry point gets blocked and they need to be able to get EMS or a fire truck into the neighborhood, they've got to have that second entry. So, technically, there's another end that they could have finished and all that kind of good stuff, and there was an opportunity to vote on whether we open it up or we don't open it up. There's only one entry into this subdivision as it stands. So it's kind of grandfathered in because of how it was originally started. And so what that kind of means is for people that live here, you can't really get into this neighborhood except for one way. And like I say, there's all kinds of security measures that they have in place. Let's privacy. I don't know if I could edit that out later, and if they didn't want to be on camera, excuse the hand. But it's a great sense of security, because if anyone's coming in here and they do anything wrong or bad or anything like that, trust me, I know in detail that it is possible to know each and every person that enters this neighborhood. So access points, when you have a home or community, you want to be aware of where the access points are, because that's the security feature to kind of think about. There is a home, like I said, that did go under contract. It was listed at $590. We'll look to see what it ends up selling for. We're working on getting something on the market right now. I'm waiting on the signature, so I'm not going to say the price right now, but it's got a full finished basement. It's on the newer end that we're going to get to. I sold something on a full unfinished basement, one of the larger floor plans. The upstairs are just under 5,000 square feet. Massive 1,000 square foot master bedroom. It is a beautiful, beautiful home. She did a great job decorating it. We will have that one coming up for rent over $3,000. I don't know the exact price right now. Waiting for things to end with the previous tenant to get that going. So I've done a decent amount of business in here. Now we kind of get back to the back half of the subdivision. And we've got more dead ends and cul-de-sacs. Again, safety. Like you're not going to have people speeding through this neighborhood, using it as a shortcut, anything like that. Again, don't know if that young man wants to be on camera, so we'll block that out. One of the things about Atlanta that I love is how green it is. When you fly over, because the airport is 15 minutes from here, when you fly over these subdivisions or just the city in general, like it's so green. But in a mature subdivision like this, it's more green. You're required to have at least one tree in your front yard. These homes were built 15 plus years ago, and as you can tell, these trees in the front yard have matured. The rest of the greenery, of course, is mature. You don't get that in a lot of new construction, especially this price range properties. They just tear every tree down and then they plant one little dinky tree in the front yard. It's one of the things that this neighborhood really has going. So these beautiful, beautiful trees, look how big that tree is in the front yard, very mature. And one of the things that you kind of notice, especially when you drive through and experience it for yourself, is this neighborhood aesthetically just speaks excellence. And there's a friend that is considering, like $1 million purchase, or I've had other clients that I've had this conversation about when they're concerned about how much they have to pay for a home. And the thing I let them know is, again, let's get him some privacy. The thing I let them know is there's a sense of pride that happens when you come home to, let's say, a beautiful home that looks like that. If you worked all day, I am actually doing this towards the end of a workday. When you work hard, you want to come home and feel like what you're working for is actually worth it. I would hate to work as hard as I do, as an example, and come home to the hood or a shack, something like that. Got to start somewhere, I guess. But at the same time, when we're looking at this community, this is a place that you come home to and you feel happy about your situation, just aesthetically, just from how nice things look. We do have some shopping opportunities nearby. For example, the Sandtown Shopping Center has some new things that have come up. They have Chipotle that's about to open. They have a Starbucks, supposedly, rumor has it, that is about to open. They wanted to partner with someone, but they are doing a standalone. And so some little small stuff like that that's convenient without having to go to the Camp Creek Marketplace, which is massive. That ranch on the left was a renovation, but this ranch here on the right, I believe there was a fire or some sort of damage in that home, and someone came in there and made it amazing and beautiful. I've been inside. It is very nice. This is kind of one of the main streets coming in, and it's, again, so well landscaped and taken care of. This home right here, I believe it was this one. I actually showed it to a lifelong friend of mine. We were in each other's kindergarten class. Lived around the corner from each other in Decatur growing up. And then, of course, we in Atlanta live around the corner from each other now. It's funny how that happened. But I actually showed him that house when it was a foreclosure. And there's some mold in the basement. It needed a lot of work. And so it's most neighborhoods, especially on this side of town, were really, really hit hard by the market crash. There are people that bought around, maybe even a couple that got under $200,000 into this neighborhood when the market went down. So they are obviously sitting on a lot of equity right now. And but yeah, I went into that house, and that was something you saw often. It was a lot of foreclosures, properties in bad shape, and that's one of the things that happened to that home. But there have been other opportunities. For example, not everybody is able to update their home with new carpet or things like that. And there have been opportunities to remodel and make things amazing in here. I don't know which home specifically. I have an idea. I'll point a couple out if possible. All right, so speaking of getting a home renovated and all that kind of good stuff, it would be a good time to check out this video on introduction to how easy it is and how possible it is to get renovation financing, whether it's 100% financing with no mortgage insurance and getting up to $15,000 of repairs. I've got a program. Or if it's a more traditional renovation loan, we have some experts that we work with that will allow you to finance in. So let's say you don't like the older kitchen in some of these older homes. You can actually purchase a home if you get it at the right price and get the granite countertops, get the new carpet, get the new light fixtures to kind of make it more modern. You can actually get all of that negotiated into a loan. So there are options for that. But speaking of different options, when you turn on the Glen Lake, this is the other phase 2 basically of the subdivision that, except for 2 houses, were all built by D.R. Horton. So that's a house I sold, got a great deal, 5,000 square foot home, not including the basement, which is currently unfinished. And we rented that when the clients had to move out to the West Coast. And moving to the West Coast, put a tenant in there, and it's been an amazing investment for them to hold on to it. That's a John Whelan home, so that's one of 2 on this street. Has a pool. There are properties with pools in here, maybe 2 or 3. And it's a dead-end street. As I mentioned, there's no 2 points of access. These John Whelan homes, of course, look different. They're generally bigger with larger square footage. Here's another John Whelan right here. Everything else on here is D.R. Horton. Where that truck is leaving, I need to let my client know. Carpet should be finished up. I'll actually maybe go take a tour of that and attach it somewhere on here. Got the yard guy coming tomorrow, but that's what's coming to the market on a full finished basement. 6,000 square foot there. Similar floor plan, almost 6,000 square foot. So the newer end, one of the reasons it probably sells for more is the square footage, but more modern floor plans, the older homes have a formal living, a formal dining, one on each side when you first walk in. That's a common theme. Whereas some of these will have a more open space. The one we're about to list, it has a formal living and formal dining, but then it opens up to like an open kitchen. Or for example, this one I sold when it was brand new, and it has a keeping room that's a non-common kind of keeping room. It is massive, like it is huge. Like I said, 1,000 square foot master bedroom between the sitting room, that's huge, the bedroom, that's huge, and the shower and closets that are huge. It's just, you know, things and preferences change with time. Don't forget there's an opportunity to set up a free consult to talk about the real estate market, what your needs are. I'm gonna let this car pass me by, so I'm not driving particularly fast. But yeah, you could set up something and we could talk about, you know, well, how do you qualify for this type of neighborhood? One quick tip is you take your gross income and you multiply it by 4. So if you by yourself make $100,000, you can get pretty much a $400,000 house, assuming obviously credit's good and you have low to no debt. So if you have very high debt payments, then you know it's going to reduce how much home you can purchase. Um, so keep that in mind. But yeah, set up a free consult. Set up a free consult. We're going to go back up to the amenities. There is an HOA here. HOA dues are around $850 a year. It's going to include your tennis access.